The observation deck hummed with the familiar pulse of the ship's core as Lieutenant Maya Brooks stood before the reinforced viewport. Stars stretched endlessly before her, each point of light a reminder of how far humanity had ventured into the void. She pressed her palm against the cool glass, watching her breath fog the surface momentarily before fading. 3 months had passed since the initial contact. 3 months since everything she thought she knew about isolation had been challenged by a single transmission from a species that communicated not through sound or written language, but through something far more intimate. The Velari had found them first. Maya remembered that day with crystalline clarity. She had been running diagnostics in the communications array when the signal arrived, not as data packets or radio waves, but as a sensation that bloomed directly in her mind. It wasn't painful, but it was startling, like suddenly remembering a dream she had never actually dreamed. The first Velari ambassador to board their vessel was named Esha. She moved through the airlock with a grace that seemed to defy the artificial gravity. Her form humanoid enough to be familiar yet distinctly other. Her skin held an opalescent quality, shifting between shades of deep violet and midnight blue depending on the angle of light. But it was her eyes that caught Maya's attention, large and luminous, holding depths that suggested an intelligence both ancient and impossibly patient. Desha did not speak. She did not need to. When she looked at Maya, the human woman felt words form in her mind. Not in English or any language she knew, but in concepts and emotions that her brain translated automatically. It was like hearing music and understanding its meaning without lyrics, like feeling the weight of unspoken truth in the pause between heartbeats. You are the one who listens, Desha's presence conveyed, and Maya understood that among her crew, she had been identified as someone whose mind was particularly receptive to their method of communication. Captain Helen Morrison had been skeptical at first. The veteran officer had seen enough in her 20 years of deep space exploration to approach novelty with caution. But Maya had volunteered to serve as the primary liaison, sensing an opportunity that went beyond mere diplomatic protocol. There was something about the Velari that called to a loneliness she had carried since childhood, a feeling of being slightly out of step with the world around her. The Velari did not build their civilization on conquest or resource acquisition. They were wanderers, philosophers, artists of a sort that humanity had no framework to fully comprehend. They moved through space not to claim it, but to experience it, to understand the infinite variations of consciousness that evolved in the darkness between stars. Desha began visiting Maya regularly in the observation deck. They would stand together in silence, and in that silence, entire conversations would unfold. Maya learned about Velari history, about their home world that orbited a binary star system where the sky was never truly dark. She learned about their art, which consisted of shared emotional landscapes that multiple Velari could inhabit simultaneously, creating symphonies of feeling that could last for days or mere moments. In return, Maya found herself sharing aspects of her own life she had never articulated to anyone. Growing up in the agricultural domes of Mars, the daughter of engineers who loved their work more than they had ever seemed to love her, the profound sense of disconnection she had felt even among crowds, as if everyone else had been given an instruction manual for human interaction that she had somehow missed. The relief she had found in the structured environment of the Space Corps, where protocols and hierarchies provided clear frameworks for engagement. Desha received these confessions without judgment. Her presence in Maya's mind felt like cool water on a burn, soothing and essential. "You are not broken," the Velari communicated one evening as they watched a nearby nebula paint the viewport in shades of amber and rose. "Your species values noise, constant stimulation, the filling of every silence with sound. But silence is not emptiness. It is the canvas upon which true understanding is painted." Maya felt tears prick her eyes, though she couldn't entirely explain why. It was as if someone had finally seen her, truly seen her, and found her worth knowing exactly as she was. The crew began to notice the change in their communications officer. Lieutenant Carl Baker, who worked the adjacent station, commented that Maya seemed lighter somehow, less wound up in the tension she usually carried in her shoulders. Commander Lisa Hartley mentioned in passing that Maya's reports had taken on a new depth, as if she was accessing layers of analysis that had previously been unavailable to her. But with the growing connection came complications. Human psychology was not designed for the kind of intimacy that Velari communication offered. Maya found herself thinking of Vesha constantly, anticipating their meetings with an intensity that bordered on obsession. She would lie in her quarters at night, replaying their shared moments, trying to hold onto the sensation of that profound understanding. It was during one such night that Vesha appeared at her door. The Velari had been given quarters on the same deck, a gesture of hospitality that Captain Morrison hoped would facilitate the ongoing cultural exchange. Maya opened the door to find Vesha standing in the corridor, her bioluminescent markings pulsing with a soft light. That indicated distress in Velari body language. Something is wrong. Vesha communicated as soon as their minds connected. Maya felt it immediately, a discord in the mental space they shared. Like a sour note in a previously perfect harmony. Your feelings have grown beyond what is balanced. I have caused you pain without intending it. Maya wanted to deny it, but the nature of their communication made deception impossible. Vesha could sense the tangle of emotions Maya had been wrestling with. The way affection had deepened into something more complex. Something that human language might call love, but which didn't quite fit that simple label. I'm sorry, Maya whispered aloud, her voice rough with emotion. I didn't mean to make this complicated. Vesha moved closer, and Maya felt the Velari's presence envelop her like a physical embrace. Though Vesha maintained a respectful distance physically. You have nothing to apologize for. I am the one who failed to consider the impact of our connection on your individual psychology. Humans bond differently than Velari. You form attachments that can become painful in their intensity. Is it wrong? Maya asked, and the vulnerability in her voice made her feel exposed in a way that had nothing to do with their mental link. Wrong is not the correct concept, Vesha responded, but it is imbalanced. I care for you deeply, Maya Brooks, but my caring is distributed across all the connections I maintain. I cannot give you the singular focus your emotions seem to require. To do so would be to violate my own nature. The rejection, gentle as it was, struck Maya with physical force. She sat down heavily on her bunk, struggling to breathe through the sudden constriction in her chest. But even as the pain blossomed, she felt Vesha's presence supporting her, not withdrawing but remaining steady, a calm point in the storm of her emotions. I do not wish to leave, Vesha continued, but I also do not wish to harm you further. Perhaps it would be better if we limited our contact. No, Maya said, the word emerging with surprising force. She looked up at Vesha, and in that moment, she made a choice. I don't want that. I don't want to lose what we have just because I'm struggling with what it means. You are willing to live with discomfort in order to maintain our connection, Vesha observed. And Maya sensed surprise in the observation. Isn't that what all relationships require, eventually? Maya responded, learning to hold multiple truths at once. I can acknowledge that what I feel is complicated and maybe not entirely reciprocated in the way I would prefer, while also recognizing that what we share is valuable exactly as it is. Vesha was quiet for a long moment, and Maya wondered if she had somehow offended the Velari. But then she felt a warmth suffuse their mental link, something that translated to profound respect mixed with admiration. You are teaching me about your species, Vesha communicated. I had not understood how humans could choose to embrace pain as part of growth. We Velari avoid suffering when possible, but you seem to transform it into something else, something that strengthens rather than diminishes. Over the following weeks, Maya and Vesha worked to find a new equilibrium. Maya learned to appreciate their interactions without demanding more than Vesha could offer. She discovered that the ache of wanting something just beyond reach was not unbearable. When balanced against the genuine connection they did share, she began to see her feelings not as a weakness to be overcome, but as a testament to her capacity for deep engagement with others. The diplomatic mission drew toward its conclusion. The Velari fleet would be moving on to make contact with another species in a neighboring system, and Vesha would be going with them. Maya knew this departure was coming, had known it from the beginning, but the knowledge did nothing to ease the anticipation of loss on their final evening together. Vesha brought Maya a gift. It was a small crystalline structure that pulsed with soft light, a Velari art piece designed to be a permanent echo of their shared mental space. When Maya held it, she could feel a ghost of Vesha's presence, not the full depth of TH.